The star of Netflix's The Prom seems to be constantly working, and she's got an uncanny ability to summon prestigious awards and accolades like some kind of magnetic force. Her achievements stand on their own, yet there's still this lingering sense of cynicism that hovers around her acting. Some kind of exasperation regarding her work, where some commentators seem almost exhausted to talk about her. It might be ridiculous to say out loud, but Meryl Streep has become one of the most underrated actresses in Hollywood. How the heck did that happen? Well, your guess is as good as ours, but we've done our best to come up with a couple of theories. So make sure you stick around to see what we've come up with. Streep's unbelievable net worth. When you're as prosperous as Meryl, you're always going to have a few enemies. People love to marginalize those they think are overrated. Maybe it has to do with the fact that she's received 21 Academy Award nominations, of which she's won 3, and 33 Golden Globe nods, winning 9. Or maybe it has something to do with the fact that she's absolutely loaded. Meryl is one of the highest paid actresses in Hollywood. Recent estimates put her net worth as somewhere upwards of $160 million. And while she's made some of that loot with smart real estate investments and celebrity endorsements, the majority of it comes directly from her work as a film and TV actress. Streep is rumored to make between $10 and $20 million per film. Seeing as her films have grossed nearly $3 billion globally, her acting ability is in high demand by directors and producers trying to draw in audiences. So yeah, some of her detractors are probably just jealous. That only seems natural. But is that really all it is? Haters gonna hate. When Streep picked up her 3rd Oscar in 2012, she was reportedly pretty self-deprecating about the honor. "I had this feeling," she quipped, "like I could hear half of America going, 'Oh no, oh come on, why, her, again?'" Her comments, as comical as they might seem, were grounded in some truth. Streep seems to be the go-to actress to shower with perennial praise award season after award season. Here she was once again winning another Academy Award, to no one's surprise, of course. Streep's joke alluded to a psychological phenomenon she's even come up with a name for. Meryl Streep fatigue has been plaguing the actress for quite some time. Even though she continues to deliver top-notch performances time and time again, as she recently has shown us in Steven Soderbergh's Let Them All Talk and Netflix's The Prom, there is a kind of unspoken response from critics and audiences that look at her perpetually brilliant performances with a feeling of, so what? At a certain point, when people keep hearing her name over and over, they start tuning it out. Her greatness is now apparently just something that can be expected, treated like some kind of inevitability. People are so desensitized to her remarkable acting, now it almost comes across as mundane. This kind of sentiment has gotten so bad, it seems like the only time Streep's acting gets talked about is when someone is expressing some kind of cynicism about it. Granted, maybe that's just a reflection of where society is these days. Seems like nihilistic cynicism is the flavor of the week. Haters gonna hate and all that jazz, but is it really where we should be? By the way, if you're enjoying this video, make sure you give it a like and subscribe to our channel. And be sure to keep watching to find out what it is about Meryl Streep that her critics dislike the most. Maybe there's something to it. In November, the New York Times published their list of the 25 greatest actors of the 21st century. And of course, all the expected names rose to the top of the list. You got Denzel Washington, Isabelle Huppert, and Daniel Day-Lewis scoring the top 3 positions. And then there was the little curveball of Keanu Reeves snagging the number 4 position. Anyway, that list sparked a wave of mild outrage, at least in certain circles. Weeks after the Times published their article, they posted a follow-up piece answering some of the most common questions readers had about how they compiled their list. They addressed the Streep controversy by pointing out she has indeed given quite a few stellar performances in the last 2 decades, but they candidly noted she's also given some less than impressive ones that were showy and overdone, as they put it. According to them, she has more of a mixed record than many of her fans would care to admit. For every Little Women or The Post, the 2 recent films that Streep delivered notably impressive performances in, there have been duds like 2013's August Osage County or 2007's Evening, 2 films where Streep relied heavily on wardrobe, makeup, and props to do the legwork. Streep has quite a few of these kind of lackluster performances under her belt that people like to sweep under the table. But when you're an uber celebrity like Meryl is, your failings aren't easily buried under your successes. For Streep, they're significant, meaningful, and indicators that maybe, just maybe, she was never that good to begin with. Could it be true? Nothing new. Really though, this kind of dismissive approach is nothing new. Streep has been brushed aside by her detractors for decades now. Even back in the 70s, when reviews of her films were gushing with praise and her theater performances were being heralded as some of the best, if not the best, of her generation, she still had those who weren't convinced of her prowess. Notably, Pauline Kael, famed film critic of The New Yorker, made it very clear she disliked Streep's acting. Meanwhile, the rest of the world seemed to be head over heels for Meryl's roles in films like Kramer vs. Kramer and Sophie's Choice. Kael wasn't afraid to speak her mind, regardless of how unpopular of an opinion it was at the time. But perhaps it just meant she was ahead of her time. Of her performance in Kramer vs. Kramer, Kael labeled Streep's delivery as glacial, and further disparaged her by saying that the technique didn't add up to anything significant. Kael hypothesized that Meryl puts too much energy and attention into one aspect of her character. By bringing an unwarranted intensity to one facet, as she put it, she was in effect decorporealizing herself. According to her, none of her roles ever feel like full characters, which is precisely why she finds her performances as being so unrewarding. Kael's opinion that Streep's performances are all technique and no soul have struck a chord with critics. To be fair, you're likely to find more idolizing fans than condemnatory dissenting voices when it comes to Streep's works. But some critics are pretty outspoken about their disdain and disillusionment towards the actress. Barrel of tics and technique. That's exactly how some of Streep's harshest critics have described her acting style. If you close your eyes right now, you might be able to picture some of Streep's most famous gestures, clutching at her face with her fingertips at her mouth, her eyes darting about, that closed, smug smile. All these techniques have been defined as being uniquely Streepian for many decades now. What it means is that Streep's performances are rarely ever fluid or freewheeling. They tend to be more calculated and controlling than organic. Every aspect of her delivery is crafted and rehearsed. For films like August Osage County, this approach becomes uncomfortably overpowering. The Independent described the performances in that movie as being something akin to a bag of cats fighting for air. For other films, that method of rigidity has worked out perfectly for her. When she played fashion magazine mogul Miranda Priestley in The Devil Wears Prada, her superbly precise delivery, complete with immaculate physical and verbal timing, was one of the standout features of the film. Streep always comes across as being deep in thought. Her next move, flinch, glance, or display of emotion are precisely choreographed in her mind before she executes them. No one could ever call her subtle. She'd much sooner cycle through 7 facial expressions before settle on just one. But she's also not interested in being broad with her delivery unless the role insists upon it. Streep's power lies in her gestures and the unique way she delivers a line of dialogue. It's an approach that's seldom emulated by her contemporaries, but uniquely her own, and she's wonderful at doing what she does. So sure, her career isn't entirely composed of glowing high points. She's had her fair share of flops and valleys, but at the end of the day, she keeps pushing on and making her presence known. The majority of her performances remain stellar. Well, here we are again at the end of another video, but fear not, Factsverse has you covered. Make sure you give us a like and subscribe to our channel so you can keep up with all our videos. Tap the bell icon to turn on notifications. And we'd love to hear from you. What's your favorite Meryl Streep movie? Kramer vs. Kramer, The Devil Wears Prada, Sophie's Choice? Let us know your opinion in the comments section below.